the news that came out at about 11:45 a.m. And that was when the New York Yankees released a statement. First, it was a tweet, and then it was a statement announcing they've exercised their 2025 club option on manager Aaron Boone.
I botched it again.
It's news. It's worthy of discussing, but we all kind of knew it was happening. It's like when you go to the wedding, there isn't drama that he's going to say no or she's going to say no.
He already said yes.
Yeah, you already know. Why'd you spend $30,000 on the hall? I mean, of course she's saying yes. So the option has been exercised. I'd like to read some statements, and then we can all opine on said subject. First, Aaron Boone. I am grateful for the trust placed in me to lead this team. It's a responsibility and an opportunity that I will never take lightly. It's a great privilege to show up for work every day and be surrounded by so many determined and talented players, coaches, and staff members. Starting with the Steinbrenner family, there is a collective commitment to excellence within this organization that is embedded into what we all do. I'm already looking forward to reporting for spring training in Tampa and working tirelessly to return the Yankees to the postseason to compete for a world championship. Here's what Brian Cashman had to say. Aaron is a steadying presence in our clubhouse and possesses a profound ability to connect with and foster relationships with his players. Consistently exhibiting these skills in such a demanding and pressurized market is what makes him one of the game's finest managers. Our work is clearly not done, but as we pursue the ultimate prize in 2025, I am excited to have Aaron back to lead our team.
What else did you expect? What else could anyone have expected? They're going to fire Aaron Boone or Brian Cashman, who he can't be fired, but you know what I mean.
What do you mean? You could fire him. It's just you don't fire someone who's in your family.
Right.
He's got like Yankee blood in him. You can't fire him.
But what did you expect was going to happen? They went to the World Series. It's like, how often, we said this yesterday, how often does that happen? If ever, unless it's just voluntarily, it's time for me to take time off and leave this sport that I just took my team to the World Series with.
I'm gonna give you.
It doesn't happen.
You're right, and we've talked about that. But Sean brought something up about 2 weeks ago, and I think it's very apropos to bring it up now and explain the difference. Sean brought up Grady Little. So Grady Little was the manager of the Boston Red Sox when they got to the 7th game of the ALCS against the New York Yankees in 2003. And considering where the Red Sox had been over the previous decade, that was a really good season.
Yeah.
Like, they got to the 7th game of the ALCS against the New York Yankees. It's pretty damn good. Grady Little didn't lose his job because they lost in 7 to the New York Yankees. In fact, it would have been easy to say on Sports Talk Radio in Boston, he got the Red Sox to the 7th game of the ALCS. Like, how could you possibly fire him? They fired him because he made a mistake. They fired him because he made a perceived mistake. I actually agreed with his move at the time, but whatever. And that was leaving Pedro Martinez in too long in Game 7 of the ALCS. So I think we all know they literally fired their manager because of a strategic move that was widely panned.
For trusting one of his great players.
Right. And by the way, Teak, I agreed with Grady Little, and I agree with your opinion right now.
Just stating.
We don't need.
Sometimes it's on the player.
I agree. Now, we shouldn't relitigate it, though. We could on a podcast because it would be a lot of fun. But it's not to relitigate the move because I actually do agree with you, okay? But the Red Sox literally fired him because of that one move. Is that a fair statement to make?
Correct.
Okay. Correct? Oh, I just said car wreck. I got very nervous for a second. Correct. All right.
Yes. I thought he said car wreck, too.
Okay, good. Listen again. I read this statement for a reason, not just to kill time. I want you to listen to what what Brian Cashman said again. Mm-hmm. Aaron is a steadying presence in our clubhouse.
Which is true.
And possesses a profound ability to connect with and foster relationships with his players.
He's known as a player's coach.
Consistently exhibiting these skills in such a demanding and pressurized market is what makes him one of the game's finest managers.
I don't think the market matters. How you relate to your players,
okay.
But keep going.
That's it. Did you hear him talk about his strategy in games?
Nope. No.
Did you hear him talk about making the right bullpen decisions?
I botched it again.
So here's the point. I'm not agreeing with what Aaron did in the World Series strategically. In fact, I vehemently disagree with him. What Brian Cashman is telling you is that doesn't matter. What matters is your presence in the clubhouse. What matters is your relationship with players. What matters is the market size, even if you disagree with it, and how you handle that.
Well, it matters because people are going to scrutinize you in this market, but your relationship with players doesn't matter what market you're in.
Right. You have to have that relationship no matter what.
You got to get the best out of them. It doesn't matter if you're in, I don't know, Arizona or you're in New York.
No question. But what Brian Cashman is telling you, and this is the inherent disagreement that maybe a lot of Yankee fans may have with Brian and the Yankees, is that they're literally bringing him back for the same reason they got rid of Joe Girardi. Why'd they fire Joe Girardi after getting to the 7th game of the ALCS? They didn't believe he connected with his players. They believed what? He was too hard on Gary Sanchez or whatever you want to come up with? It wasn't the results. It wasn't the strategy. It wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
That's the stuff we talk about on Sports Talk Radio, and it's the stuff that, I admit I'm very passionate about, but that's not how they make the decision on if he's the right manager or not.
No, you're right. First of all, I don't think Brian Cashman is telling us he doesn't think strategy matters.
He didn't even mention it.
And I think the reason he didn't mention
Why
it
did he say he's one of the great strategists in baseball?
Because
Go ahead.
he's not. He knows he's not, and Brian Cashman gets laughed out of the building social media-wise, regular media-wise, if he says that.
Well, it's also...
So just ignore that.
It also becomes debatable.
Right.
Whereas if you just state what he stated, like you state things that are facts and you know that are indisputable. That is, he's been one of the most effective player managers that you can think of in this market. That's a fact. And there's nothing wrong with that. But does that help you win games? I guess in times it does. But ultimately, it's coming down to the strategy. Now, if Brian Cashman had brought up strategy at all, had mentioned even one move that Aaron Boone had made, it opens up a ton of questions.
Yes.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you have to answer those questions. And when it's proven that Aaron made a mistake, for whatever reason, then you follow up with, well, then why are you keeping him? Right? And so it eliminates the question about why you're keeping him.
Yeah, and it's a smart way to answer it. And
But the easy answer to why you're keeping it is because they just won the World Series.
Right. And the unfortunate truth, and I hate to tie all this together, but it's the fact. The Yankees need to do this offseason, and they need to keep the ship steadied because I don't think they can afford, in what is going to be an every penny count situation, to rock the boat in any way to dissuade Juan Soto from coming back.
You think changing the manager would have done that?
I think if you're looking to break a tie with the New York Mets or the Los Angeles Dodgers and everybody's money matches.
Yeah, I hear you.
At the one thing resonated me in my 15-hour drive home from Yankee Stadium when they were eliminated, and I'm over-exaggerating. I listened to that entire postgame show, and the one answer from Aaron Boone's postgame show that I'm remembering this on the fly was he said, hey, I hope Juan's back. The one thing I could say about me and Juan Soto, we became family.